Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Project Analysis Series, and today I'm in a new studio as you can see, but it is still me, Lauren here, and today we will be talking about Lentor Central Residences. Okay, so just to share with you, on the day of filming, I have already gotten the starting from pricing and I'm really excited to share more about that with you. And on top of that, during the agent preview, I have also seen how the layouts of the show flats are like. I believe when this video is released, the preview should have already started, so I hope that you guys get a chance and go and feel it for yourself, okay? This is gonna be the 6th plot of new launch in the Lentor cluster, so I will not be touching on so much on what is around Lentor because I believe you should have already seen a lot of videos on that. So I would like to talk more about the layouts, which is slightly different from my past videos. If you have seen Alta, if you have seen Ori, I talk more on the pricing strategy and what price point to go into. But whereas for Lentor, I find that it is something slightly different. Okay, so just the weekends that have passed, we have seen how Park Town that sold 87% on launch day and also Alta more than 60%. So the property market is still pretty hot right now. And anyway, you want to watch my analysis video on Alta, Ori or Park Town, I will leave the link below and you can click on to watch it in my YouTube channel. Alright, so as for Lentor, why do I say that it is slightly different? Because Lentor, I have mentioned earlier, this is going to be the 6th plot in this whole new township in Lentor. And compared to the likes of Clementi and Tampines, I find that people who buys into Lentor, either they like it or they don't even bother finding out what's about it. That's the perception of people, but I'm going to prove you wrong later. So let's just dive right in. These are some artist impression, and then for Lentor Central, as you can see right here, there are 2 towers, and as of now is one of the tallest building in the whole of Lentor cluster. But moving forward, as you know, the whole Lentor township is still developing. There might be some other plots that's being developed and some might be taller than this. We are not sure, but as of now, you can see that the view from this artist impression is as such. Alright, so developer-wise, I feel that this is not an unfamiliar name in the whole of Lentor cluster. We have Gakko Land and Hong Leong, and of course, we have the CSC Land Group as well. Okay, other than Hillock Green, the rest of the Lentor like Lentoria, Lentor Mansion are actually developed by the same developer. Okay, so Lentor Modern Mall, they have their anchor tenant is going to be Cold Storage Fresh. And Lentor Modern Mall is right opposite Lentor Central. And this is also a very big plus point for Lentor Central Residences. Okay, so I am particularly excited when I talk about MRT lines. Okay, so let's look at Lentor. Just to refresh your memory, Lentor is on the Thomson East Coast line. As you can see that currently Lentor is over here and we are just a few stops down to Caldecott where you can change to your Circle Line, and then just a few stops down it reaches Orchard, Outram Park, which is almost your CBD, and it links you all the way to Marina Bay, Gardens by the Bay, and your Tanjong Katong where EOK and Tembusu Grand is at. It links you all the way to Bayshore. Okay, and I want to particularly highlight this to you. As you know that Lentor is not near the east, but it is directly connected to the east side, and of course east side's transformation, it will also bring you the convenience to this side. So in the east side, we have Changi Airport T5 as well as Expo, and ultimately all these will be linked. If you tell me that Lentor is very far, I can say that if the MRT station is right at your doorstep or just right across the road, in fact even better, sheltered walkway all the way to MRT station, right? I do think that Singapore is not that big, it's still pretty well connected, okay? And especially the Thomson East Coast line. So today I am really going to talk more about the FAQ of why should I look at Lentor Central. So when the news of Lentor Central is being released, right, I do have a lot of people asking me that actually why is Lentor so popular? And isn't Lentor oversupply? There are like so many new launches for the past 3 years, started from the first one being Lentor Modern that launched in 2022. And then can we still exit in future? This whole township, right, is actually very special because there will not be any HDB in Lentor. It's going to be a private enclave, just like the one that is further to the east side, which is the Flora Drive area. Right, so I'm going to talk about all these points moving forward. And of course, I'm also going to discuss about the layout analysis. Okay, so just to talk more about Lentor cluster, as you can see, the first one would be Lentor Modern that was launched back in 2022. And then there were 605 units. Just FYI, Lentor Modern has been fully sold 100%. Okay, then now the second plot would be Lentor Hill Residences, which is the one that look like a pier and a na and a pa. Okay, and this is the one that has is within one click to CHIJ St. Nick's. And the third plot would be Hillock Green, okay, which is they launched pretty near already, July 2023 and November 2023. And the fourth plot would be March 2024 Lentoria. Lentoria will be a much smaller plot compared to the rest. Okay, and the first ever post-harmonized would be Lentor Mansion, which is the fifth project that is being launched in the whole of Lentor cluster in March 2024. Okay, so as you can see, the fourth and the fifth plot, they actually launched the same month. And then Lentor Mansion did very well because it was the first post-harmonized project and the size is actually smaller. And I remember the 2-bed 1-bath actually start from 1 mil XX. It is super affordable as an entry price. And then at that point in time, this is the first ever post-harmonized and everyone is just looking out for how the developer is actually going to optimize the layout. And I got to say that they did very well in coming out with very, very small and compact yet functional layout, which I will be touching on it later. Okay, and then the sixth plot will be us, Lentor Central Residences. And a fun fact, I find that this one is also one of the better one because as you can see how it has been launched, right? The first one being Lentor Modern, which is the integrated that is linked directly to the MRT station. Subsequently, yes, Lentor Hill Residences and Hillock Green is also somewhat near. And then Lentoria and Lentor Mansion is a bit further. So if you're talking about directly sheltered walkway, no, they don't. Okay, and then it comes one circle back to Lentor Central Residences where it's built on a plot that is so near to Lentor Modern. So even though it is the sixth plot, right, but it is launched right opposite Lentor Modern. So that is why you have the sheltered walkway all the way to Lentor Modern where you have MRT and you have amenities and you have cold storage. So basically everything is there. Later, I will also show you the fact sheet because for Lentor Central Residences, apart from it being so convenient, right, there is also Early Childhood Development Center within the development itself. And like I said, this is not the first one already because I recall Lentor Mansion also have Early Childhood Development Center, which is like a preschool within the development itself. To answer your question, is there an oversupply in the whole of Lentor cluster? Then we have to look at the inventory list. So Lentor Modern, Lentor Hill Residences, Hillock, Lentoria, Lentor Mansion, and now as Lentor Central Residences, there are in total 6 projects in the whole of Lentor cluster right now. And what is left? So Lentor Modern fully sold 100%, 605 units. And Lentor Hill Residences, only 3 units left as of the day of filming. And for Hillock Green, 87% sold, only 61 units left. Lentoria 77, Lentor Mansion 10, and if you add us in 477, and if you exclude us, right, actually the remaining units is only 6% left in the whole of Lentor cluster, excluding the new one, LCR, Lentor Central Residences. But of course, if you add us in, yeah, yay, we are back to 20%. But if you were to ask me for my honest opinion, I do not think that Lentor Central Residences is going to sell as well. If you want to compare it to something like a Tampines, I would think that it is still not as popular. So let's move on. Okay, so in the whole of Lentor cluster, as I have shown you earlier that supply-wise as of today, we are only looking at less than 10% for existing units, and even with us coming in, it's about 20%. So is there an oversupply? Right now, I would say no. But of course, let's be fair. Because this is a whole new township, there will be 4 more plots upcoming. We are not sure how it's going to affect, but let's say if it's going to be dominated by Guoco Land and Hong Leong, right? We believe that the way that they are being built, it will be friendly to each other in terms of pricing, in terms of infrastructure. It kinds of will complement with each other. And because they are going to grow this new township as a whole, and some of my friends, right, or even my clients, when I actually ask them, do you know, have you heard of Lentor? Then they thought that it is like, oh, Yishun, Woodlands. They're not wrong, but if you were to look at a map, right, it's actually very near to Ang Mo Kio and Yio Chu Kang side. Yeah, but I think that it is really more of like an impression or a perception of how Lentor is like, or where it is exactly. But because this is a new township surrounded by more of like landed places, so it's a pretty new concept. I would think that after the development is done, right, you will grow to like this new private enclave because it will have a character on its own. In fact, for now, right, if you were to look at how it's being built, let's come back to here. In the middle, this green part is actually a hillock hill. So everything is building around this greenery area, and then this whole place, it would be definitely be suitable for like jogging, exercising, just a part of nature integrated into your daily lives. Okay, so Lentor clusters buyers profile. For Lentor Modern, right, you can see that the top district of buyers buying into Lentor Modern is actually D19. And D19 would be your Hougang, Punggol, and Sengkang. It is really not so much of just Lentor equals to Yishun, Woodlands. Okay, and the second district is 23. 23 is more of the dairy farms, Bukit Panjang, and your Choa Chu Kang. And the third one would be D27, and D27 would be, it's more of Sembawang and Yishun. So the reason why I'm pulling out this chart, right, is to show you that your buyers mainly, as you can see, this tallest table over here, mainly come from actually D19. D19, Hougang, Punggol, Sengkang area. And this is actually a very big district with BTOs, and in fact condos over there are also a lot. But why are they coming to Lentor area? There must be something. It shows that actually people do have the intention to upgrade to Lentor area even though they are staying in other districts. Okay, so this is a type of characteristics that we are seeing from the buyer's profile. This is for Lentor Modern. If you move down to Hillock Green, you can see that the top district, yes, again, D19 stands out, which is Hougang, Punggol, Sengkang. The second place is D23, which is Dairy Farms area, and then your third place would be your Ang Mo Kio, Bishan, Thomson. And then for Lentor Hill Residences, the top district is actually D20, and D20 would be Ang Mo Kio, Bishan, Thomson, and then followed by D19 and followed by D27. So as you can see, buyers actually comes from these different types of district. If you're thinking of exiting next time, you'll be wondering, where will my buyers come from? There is no HDB around here. This is a private enclave and I'm surrounded by landed. So usually you think of people upgrading, we'll think of, they sell their BTO, they sell their HDB, they are thinking of upgrading to the next level, a condo. But you can see the people actually comes from everywhere, different district. By how I'm looking at all these charts, right, I do think that there is demand of people who, like, probably, for example, coming from D23, they are currently staying at Choa Chu Kang area, but they do find that upgrading over to Lentor is a place that they would want to stay in also. Importantly, you can see the types of buyers profile coming from different districts are real. So you don't have to think that only people from certain district will consider, and will these people consider? It's not as narrow as that. It's wider than that. You can cast a wider net in future. Alright, so let's move on to the project information. For Lentor Central Residences, there will be 2 towers, Block 18 and Block 20. For Block 18, it will be up to level 28, and for Block 20 is up to level 27. There will be a total of 477 units, and this is the one. There is a childcare center inside, as well as sky terraces and basement car park. Okay, so if we were to look at this site plan, right, you can see that the 2 buildings are actually north-south facing. So you are either facing the park over here, or you will be facing an empty plot of land. So this empty plot of land, supposedly, we think that it should be developed into residential moving forward. Okay, so as of now, it's empty. So the key points of Lentor Central Residences would be a sheltered walkway to MRT, north-south facing. There is a 50-meter infinity pool. There will be a leisure pool pool with pool deck, and there is also a 25-meter lap pool. All in all, there are actually 4 pools, like if you were to look at the details. And there are also 16 EV charging and childcare center, sky terraces at both blocks on level 14, alright, and roof garden on block 18. Let's look at the distribution chart. Okay, so for their one-bedder, there are 55 units, 11%, and there are two-bedder, there are 210 units, 44%. The smallest being 2-bed, 2-bath. Developer actually did not build 2-bed, 1-bath, and I think that it's not bad because recently, if you have seen how the movement of the units are off the chart, right? 2-bed, 2-bath might be more popular because of like the additional bathroom, and 2-bed, 1-bath, if your layout is not as ideal, I would say that maybe for rental wise, if you have watched my other videos, it is not too bad. But if you are talking about exiting or preference of your future buyers, I would still think that a 2-bed, 2-bath is more superior, alright? So I'm glad that they started off with a 2-bed, 2-bath. That's their smallest unit. Okay, and then for their 3-bedroom, there are 106 units together with 4-bedroom, and both are 22%. So what are we seeing here? There is no 5-bedder. And then again, if you're familiar with the whole of Lentor cluster, other than Lentor Mansion, the rest of the developments have no 5-bedder as well. Okay, just FYI. Alright, let's dive right into the layout analysis, and starting with the 1-bedroom. The starting from price for 1-bedroom is actually starting from 975,000 PSF 2110. I do think that it is very fair looking at how the surrounding has been transacted, which I will be touching on moving forward in the next few slides. Okay, so their 1-bedroom starts from 463 square feet. One thing to note is that for this size, it is one of the smallest 1-bedder unit type in the whole of Lentor cluster as of now. Is it good or is it bad? So may I ask you, if you were to buy a 1-bedder, is it for own stay or do you think that it is more for investment? I would think that if this is a price point that someone wants to start to invest in a property, it may be a good starting point because it is not too high, and this is something that they can kickstart their whole property journey, be it for own stay or for investment. If it is built in such a smaller size, it equates to a smaller quantum, which is why we are seeing the starting from price at only 975. Okay, just for context, if you were to look at Norwood Grand, that has just been launched recently a few months back and also almost sold already. On first day, I think they sold out almost everything except for their 4-bedder unit. Then they are starting from their 1-bedder, their smallest 1-bedder is 1+ study. It is located at Woodlands, and the starting from price is 988,000. 988,000. Okay, for their 1+ study, and that is the cheapest in Norwood Grand at Woodlands. And so now we have this size, which is just a purely 1-bedder, and the starting from price looks lower than a 1-bedder in Woodlands if you were to classify them together as a 1-bedder. It's pretty attractive to me lah. Okay, so let's look at the layout. Okay, 1-bedder, to be honest, I don't have a lot of expectation because you don't have a lot of space to play with, but I do find that this is a very generic and fair layout. As you can see, it is very regular. Number one, there is no odd shape, odd corner. These two, they have kitchenette, okay, which is along the aisle, which is fair because this is a 1-bedder, right? And then the difference, as you can tell, is just the placement of the fridge. And for their bathroom, there are 2 entrances. Yeah, it's pretty much a standard layout. So I want to bring your attention to this. Do you realize that actually Lentor Central Residences has also 1-bed plus study? It's just that I'm not going to dwell too much because there are only 2 units in the whole development, okay? So these 2 units are going to be situated at this level. Okay, then if you were to look at the layout, right, 1+ study, it actually has an enclosable tuck-in kitchen, which I do find that it is quite interesting, which is why I am even talking about it. Because if you watch my Parktown video, right, some units, there are only 1 unit, 4 units. For those, I don't really want to talk on the layout because I find that there are too little units. If you want, you can go and take a look. Okay, but for this one, even though there are 2 units, I would like to highlight highlight that this kitchen is really very interesting. They have a tuck-in kitchen and their study is connected to the master bath, okay? And then I find that it's very, very functional lah, okay? But then again, there are only 2 units. Alright, so the problem about one bedder, right, is always about, can I exit in future? Can I buy a one bedder? In fact, right, I do have customers who are considering 1 plus study or one bedder due to their budget, okay? First thing first, I won't say that it is a straight no, but it really depends on the demographic of people around and also what type of layout you are entering into and what is your purpose. If you're telling me you are going to buy a one bedder to flip, right? Meaning to say, I buy now, then 3 years later, I want to flip, I want to exit with a good profit and I want to move on to my next property, then I gotta burst your bubble. I may be wrong, but based on my experience, it is not that easy to exit for small units like a one bedder within a very, very short period of time. In fact, right, one bedder, usually there are quite a lot of leftover unit after the launch day because it is not as popular compared to a 2 bedder or a 3 bedder. Okay, the reason being, right, the particular group of people who might want to buy over your 1 bedder unit in future may not come by so easily. They will not be HDB upgrader who usually already got their first pot of gold and want to move on and upgrade to their next property. There are actually bigger group of people that might be looking for a 2 bedder compared to a 1 bedder. I'm not saying that it will not sell well. We really have to do analysis to see does it make sense or not. Okay, so as we can see from the previous slides where I mentioned about the type of profile entering into the Lentor area, right? They are mostly coming from D19, which is the Hougang area. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Hougang area 1 bedroom supply. Okay, so Hougang area is actually a very big area and currently there are 1 bedder unit in the market right now. There are about 2,000 over units out of their 10,000 residential units. So it makes it to be about 20%. Okay, so meaning to say if you want to buy a 1 bedder unit in Hougang, it is not difficult because there should be people selling because of the percentage of 1 bedder that concurring the total residential units in the whole of Hougang. Okay, and then let's say a half of it, I won't say half, sorry, 10% of the people selling, you have 200 units of 1 bedder floating in the resale market right now. Okay, but if you were to look at Lentor itself, there are only 200 units of 1 bedder in the whole of 2,954 to be exact. So it's only a 8%. And if I were to consider the projects that's surrounding the Lentor cluster, which is out of Lentor cluster like Thomson Grand, there is no 1 bedder. And if you were to look at Meadows at Pierce, there are only 52 units. So I don't think that there is an oversupply situation of 1 bedder in the whole of Lentor at the moment. Okay, I would think that the chances of you exiting might be easier. I'm not trying to say that it is easy to buy a 1 bedder and to sell compared to a 2 bedder. I would say that it's easier because if there are people looking at 1 bedder and if you were to take the percentage, right, there might be lesser competition for these people to choose from. So in that sense, it will be faster for you to move your market compared to if you were to hold a 1 bedder in the Hougang area where the supply is so high, the competition is going to be very high and very stiff. It might take longer for you to offload your 1 bedder in Hougang compared to Lentor. So with this angle, right, I do think that it is not that bad for you to enter into a unit type that has a low supply, a low percentage in the whole area. Okay, let's move on to rental. Every time we talk about smaller units, right, I want to bring in this rental piece. If you were to do a case study of Meadows at Pierce, which is near the Lentor cluster area, this is how much their 1 bedder is fetching in the current market. Okay, and if you were to look at their 2 bedder, this is how much they are fetching in the current market. I mean, like, instead of just entering into a unit not knowing what to expect, I would rather you have all this data. At least you know that if you were to enter into this unit and if you have decided to rent out in future, does it make sense? Okay, so if you were to buy into a 1 bedder unit to rent out, meaning your strategy is towards the investment side, right? Let's take a look. Because Lentor Central Residences has 1 bedder unit, which is at 463 square feet. Starting from price, this amount, I'm going to put an average of about 101 18,600, which is 2002 PSF. And if you were to rent out at this amount, your rental yield is at 3.4%. Let's make a comparison to, for example, the smallest unit type in Lentor Mansion, which is their 2-bed 1-bath at 527. Average transacted price is at 1.2 million. What do I mean by average transacted price? Because Lentor Mansion has already been launched, and then this is the average price that people have paid for their 2-bed 1-bath. Alright, and let's say if you were to take the Meadows at Pierce information to do an apple-to-apple comparison, let's plug in this amount of their average rental at 3,400 for a 2-bedder. The rental yield would be 3.4%. So with you entering into Lentor Central Residences 1-bedder unit at about 1 million compared to you entering into a Lentor Mansion 1.2 million, your rental yield may be about the same. This is taking data from your nearby development, and that's how we derive to show you that actually the rental is not too bad because the quantum is low. That is if you are going towards the rental direction. Alright, and so moving on to our 2-bedroom analysis, as mentioned for Lentor Central Residences, they do not have 2-bed 1-bath. So starting from their smallest 2-bed 2-bath unit, which is starting from 1.38 million. So there's one thing about Lentor that I have not gotten a chance to mention to you is that Lentor area is very special because, right, you always get to buy back at the first day's price. What do I mean by that? Because 1.38, right, later you can see it is actually almost the same price as what the previous launches have transacted at lah. They launched at around this price. Currently, the transacted price is higher, but it is also starting from about 1.3, and all these units are fully sold already. So it is a latest plot, yet you are able to restart the price, the day one price in the other Lentor development, which is very good, right? I mean, if you are in this new launch market long enough, you will have seen that, you will have known also that the pricing is always inching a little bit higher. It's very hard for you to go back to last year's pricing, even worse, 2 years ago pricing, which is the Lentor Moderns. I will show you the data later. Let's look at the layout first. Okay, so for their 2-bed 2-bath, smallest unit type would be type 2A, 678 square feet. It is at stack 10, which is facing the pool. Okay, and then you also have another 689, and you have 678, 2B and 2C. So for 2B, it is also facing the pool. It's the same facing as 2A. For 2C, you're actually so-called facing the park. So as you can see, right, the starting from price is at 1.38. It should be for one of the smaller unit type, which is either 2A or 2C. So for 2A and 2C, they are both dumbbell units, and only 2B is a conventional layout. I want to highlight because 2B, right, even though it is slightly bigger at 689 square feet, it is the only 2-bedder with conventional layout in the whole of Lentor Central Residences. Earlier on, I have actually mentioned the supply is actually important if you're looking to exit in future. There are only 5.5% of you who own a 2-bedder with a conventional layout. If in future you are different from your competitor, it can be an advantage when you were to exit in future. Okay, so if you were to look at the layout, one good thing is that all has this enclosable kitchen. Moving forward, developers, they are becoming more and more savvy in terms like they know what is actually a good layout. And I have seen many layouts, smaller units with enclosable kitchen already compared to the past. In the past, right, in fact, pre-harmonized, a lot of smaller units, you have a lot of kitchenettes. Yeah, but for now, they also understood like how the preferences of people do change and evolve over time, and this is actually a very good plus point for people to consider smaller units. So let's move on to the 2-bedroom layout comparison. Okay, of course, for Lentor Central being the 6th plot in the whole of Lentor cluster, I do think that comparing within Lentor itself is very important because all these are going to be your competition when you exit in future. So let's study our competitor. For this page, right, I am taking the 2-bed 2-bath from Hillock, Lentor Mansion and Lentoria first to show you how they are not your competitor. What do I mean by this? Okay, so for Hillock, right, as you can see, first thing is very glaring. They do not have a functional tuck-in kitchen. They actually have a kitchenette that is right smack along the aisle. It is really right smack because like you see, if you walk in, firstly, there is no privacy and then your kitchen is here. Right, I mean, yes, no doubt it is a conventional layout. The kitchenette's part has already not as superior lah. So I find that if you have the same group of buyers looking at a 2-bed 2-bath, Lentor Central's layout will be the winner compared to the rest here, okay? And for the same reason, this is open concept, and for Lentoria, they also have a kitchenette like that, okay? So who are your competitor then? Your competitor will actually be Lentor Modern and Lentor Hill Residences. And let's see. So for Lentor Modern, their smallest 2-bed 1-bath flexi is 678, and Lentor Hill Residences 2-bed 2-bath is also 678. So in terms of size wise, pretty much similar. And Lentor Modern, right, even though it is a 2-bed 1-bath, it has this flexi that is actually a plus point. For a 2-bed 1-bath to have a flexi area, you can convert it into study. I think you can even squeeze like a small mattress inside. However, you can use it as a storage. So basically you have this area, and then their kitchen is also an enclosable one, right? And for Lentor Hill Residence, their kitchen not just enclosable, they have this glass panel. If you have seen my video long enough, you would know that I always, almost all the time, I will emphasize and look out for all these glass panels because it really makes a difference. If you have seen enough houses, you will know how the layout, like let's say if this is not a glass, it is a wall, how it actually affects the whole visual of the place when you step in. And all this actually plays a part, you know, be it for your own comfort staying there, or be it for you exiting next time, for your next group of buyers to come and experience it when they are there. So I always look out for glass. So for Lentor Hill Residences, they actually have this huge glass panel, meaning to say that when you step into the kitchen, it is firstly tucked at one corner, and with the glass, right, it makes it very bright. You will not feel like a bit claustrophobic or like dark. Then with that, right, you must know that these two layouts are actually pretty similar to Lentor Central, or they may even be more superior, okay? And then I want to highlight the price. Lentor Modern 2-bed 1-bath flexi, the transacted price is at 1.35 cheapest all the way to 1.67. All these prices have been transacted, meaning to say people already bought it, they are willing to pay this price and they have paid for it. And for Lentor Central, we are just right opposite, and we are starting from 1.38. We are not even like an integrated development, but we are right opposite, and we are starting at 1.38, which is Lentor Modern's first day pricing, and Lentor Modern actually launched in 2022. So can you see what I'm saying? You are actually buying a 3 years ago's price if you were to enter into Lentor Central. It does sound like a good deal to me. Okay, so for Lentor Hill Residences, same thing. These are all transacted price. The cheapest for their 2-bed 2-bath is starting from 1.36, and the highest done as of today is 1.52. And also, FYI, all these units have been fully sold, meaning to say there's no more units that is remaining. There's no leftover for Lentor Modern's 2-bed 1-bath or 2-bed 2-bath. It is sold already. So if they are looking at similar layout, Lentor Central is the next best bet at the moment. Okay, so let's move on to their 2-bed plus study. Okay, so for 2-bed plus study, there are 3 layouts: 786 stack 14 park facing, 27 units, and 786. Okay, they are all 786. Okay, then with different facing, we have 2 park facing type 2D, type 2E, and for this one is actually facing the empty land, yeah, over here. Stack 14, stack 4, and stack 15. So actually, right, for the layout wise, like I've mentioned for Lentor Central, all the kitchen is actually tucked at one corner, and they have this glass panel over here, which makes it like, yes, it's tucked, but yet there will be light going in. It will not look very dark. Okay, but other than that, I do think that other than foyer, the layout is almost the same. As you can see, the study is over here, and And here, layout-wise, there's nothing much to talk about because it's quite standard, okay? I just want to show you this concern if you were to enter into 2+ study, the bigger unit type, which is 797. So my concern is that if you were to enter into this 797 2+ study unit in Lentor Central Residences, the size is too similar to a 3-bed 2-bath in Lentor Mansion, and that will be your biggest competitor. Okay, so just to highlight to you, Lentor Mansion launched its 3-bed 2-bath, 3 proper room, and not like 2+ study, then you can convert the study into a room, that kind. No. So for Lentor Mansion, it has a 3-bed 2-bath launched at 786 square feet, which is the same as a 2-bed 2+ study in Lentor Central Residences. And here we are. If you were to enter into Lentor Central 786 or even the bigger one, 2+ study, if you were to make a direct comparison to Lentor Mansion's 3-bed 2-bath at also 786 square feet, and it's also a post-harmonized project, you may lose out in that sense because no matter what, they are still a 3-bedder unit and you are just a 2+ study unit, and it's the same size. Meaning to say that I would find that the quantum may not differ that much, because if you look at PSF, you times the built-in space, right? The quantum should not differ that much, and if given a choice, you have a proper 3-bedder 2-bath unit and a 2+ study selling at around the same price, I would go for a 3-bed 2-bath, and that is my concern if you were to enter into a 2+ study in Lentor Central Residences. Okay, but then that being said, Lentor Mansion this size, I really have to give it to them. They managed to squeeze everything into 786. Of course, their kitchen is an open concept. It is also a dumbbell, so they save a little bit on the walkway space. But other than that, it is really pretty much a standard 3-bedder unit. I'll leave it to you to make your own decision, but I am here to just highlight to you that yes, if you enter into Lentor Central 2+ study, you should be watching out for the transactions moving forward in Lentor Mansion when you were to exit next time. Okay, so with that, right, my top choice for 2-bedroom unit would be the compact 2-bed 2-bath, which is at 689 square feet, stack 18. And this is not the smallest one. This is the one with the traditional conventional layout with an enclosable kitchen. Okay, the reason why I choose this is because it has low in supply in the whole of the Lentor cluster. And let's say if you want to buy something into this Lentor cluster where there are a lot of new launches around you, it is always good to differentiate yourself. And I do think that being low in supply will help as well. And maybe just to share, currently in the whole of Lentor area for their 2-bed layout, right, there are estimated 700 units of dumbbell versus the traditional layout, there are only 200 over units. Moving on to the 3-bedder analysis. So for their 3-bedroom compact starting from 915 square feet, starting from price 1.81 million, PSF below 2,000. Okay, there are 2 stacks, 53 units, stack 7 and stack 12. One is pool facing and the other one is facing the land, the empty land that is slated for development over here. Okay, so this 3 compact layout is one of my favorites, and I would think that it is going to be one of the highly sought after layout in Lentor Central Residences. Let's take a look. So first thing first, when you look in, you are not looking into the house. So there is privacy. There's also this little walkway, this little aisle for you to build your cabinet, your shoe cabinet, or just a little storage space around there for you to play with. So when you turn in here, you reach the kitchen. And the kitchen, it is very, very decently tucked with a very big glass panel over here. And not just that, there is another window over here. So your whole kitchen is going to be very, very bright and well ventilated. That's number 2. And then if you were to walk in here, the bath has window. Okay, be it the common bath as well as the master bath, both has window. And not just that, if you were to walk in further, even along the walkway, you have a small little panel over here as well. Wow, I mean, I have seen this kind of layout in those pretty old development and I really like it. I thought that it is something that is very unique because usually along this walkway, right, be it like a 3, 4, 5 bedder, it is so long and narrow that when you have this small little window there that provides some natural lighting coming in as well as some fresh air, it does feel very different and I like that. So I feel that this layout, this size, this price is very, very, very superior and I believe it will be the most popular one lah, okay? I mean, like, to be honest, in most launches, 3-bed compact is very popular because of its price. The barrier to enter is so much lower compared to the 3 premium or the 4-bedder and it's very livable and this layout is perfect. Be it like small family, upgraders, in fact a slightly bigger family is so livable. Okay, so let's do a comparison within Lentor itself again. First thing, I'm going to show you Hillock Green and Lentoria because they are both not your competition. Their kitchen is like that. Okay, then how do I say, it is actually quite dark here because this thing is wall. Yeah, you may think that, okay, it is tucked in a corner, but all these little things are things that we look out for that you don't. Okay, so this glass panel, it is very important, especially for kitchen and especially for compact, because most compact, first thing first, they don't have a window. Even if they have, it's quite small, and then it may be very, very dark because most of the light source actually come from here, not from the corner over here. The reason being, usually all these corners, right, most of the time, they are actually facing very, very near to another unit type that is like kind of block, so you don't really have very, very strong sunlight coming in or light source coming in. But here there is, because this is your living area. Okay, and then let's see the similar competition within Lentor cluster. You have Lentor Modern, Lentor Hill Residences and Lentor Mansion. Okay, so let's look at Lentor Modern first. 3-bed 2-bath flexi. Wow, I find that Lentor Modern's layout is really very good. Yeah, I mean, if you were to look at the size, yes, it is bigger, and then the price starting from 1.822. okay, and then they have a flexi room over here, which is very, very good because for a compact size, you seldom get to have additional space. Oh yeah, I would like to highlight to you, for Lentor Central, there is this small storage over here, which is a plus point because I was just about to say that for 3 compact, you seldom get to have additional storage space unless you build them yourself. So Lentor Central, the reason why I like it is also there's this small little tiny storage over here. Okay, so let's move on to Lentor Modern. They do have this flexi area over here. So other than that, everything is pretty standard. And then for here, this kitchen is also Lentor Hill Residences. The kitchen, it also has a glass panel over here, and then the whole layout is very regular. It's quite similar to Lentor Central Residences, which I think is a good layout. Other than the fact that you see along the aisle, this one has no window, but this one has here, little one, Lentor Hill Residences. Yeah, actually I vaguely remember Lentor Hill Residences has one of the better layouts among Lentor at that point in time lah. Okay, but now we have Lentor Central, which is very, very comparable. Okay, so for Lentor Mansion, there are 3-bed 2-bath flexi is only 904 square feet. So as you can see over here, apart from the 3-bedroom, they have a flexi area over here. Yeah, it's actually very good. For compact, usually if you have this kind of additional space, it actually spruces things up in a way that they find that, hey, actually it's very livable. I have storage, you know. The difference between compact and premium usually is the yard space and a WC and a home shelter or storage. And now you actually have it. So yeah, I guess it is a good competition. But one thing for sure now is that you can see all these are fully sold. It means to say that the demand for 3-bedroom in the whole of Lentor cluster, it is still there. And not just that, look at the pricing. They all launch at about 1.83, and for Lentor Mansion, it is launching at 1.96, right? And then what do we have here? They are transacted around 2.15 million already, done deal. So if you can enter at the same price as what people are willing to pay for, or even lower than what people are willing to pay for, I would say that it is actually very, very safe. Alright? Okay, so next unit type will be 3-bedroom premium at 1076 square feet. Okay, for their 3 compact is only 915 square feet. For their premium, they actually jump by 161 square feet bigger at 1076 square feet. So that is one thing that you have to take note of. You just remember first, let's take a look at the layout. So for this premium, as I've mentioned earlier, usually premium compared to 3-bedroom compact is that it comes with a yard, a WC and a home shelter, which the compact 3-bedder at 915 don't have. They do have a small storage, a little small square of storage there, but they don't have the yard space, the WC and a home shelter. Okay, and then same thing for the other type. They are both different facing. One is facing the pool and the other one is facing the park. Okay, so this 3-bedroom premium, right, is 161 square feet bigger than the compact, and it is only 108 smaller than the next unit type, which is the 4-bedroom. So if you have seen enough analysis video, or in fact my own analysis video, I almost always make this comparison between the bigger 3-bedroom unit type to the smallest 4-bedroom. Sometimes if the jump is big enough, I find that it is safe for you to enter. But if the jump is not that big, right, 108, meaning to say the quantum leap is actually not as huge, you may want to consider a 4-bedder instead. First thing first, 4-bedder is always considered as a 4-bedder. Be it you can say this is a 3-bedroom premium and that is a 4-bedroom compact. But if you were to exit into the market in future, 4-bedder, it is still a 4 proper bedroom, okay? And 3-bedder, it is still a 3-bedder. There is a very big difference. And for families who are looking at more rooms, they only look at 4-bedder. You are totally out of the competition. So these are things that you have to take note of. But of course, there are also different aspects. For example, for the bigger unit type, if you are looking for investment, I would think that you will have to adopt the strategy to part stay and part sell, in a sense that because bigger units, especially in Lentor, whereby you know there are new projects there, if you're not looking to own stay and you want to enter into a very big unit type, right, you must be prepared to wait lah. You will not be able to sell off the shelf so easily. First thing, because buyers for bigger units, I would say usually for own stay, okay, then when they come in, right, they will not come in big batches, okay, they will not be like, okay, I can buy for investment, I also can buy for own stay. For those type, more of like maybe 2 or 3-bedder, but for 4-bedder, mostly own stay. And if they come into the Lentor cluster during your resale period, there are really other 4-bedder in the market that is being sold at the same time. So I would think that it would be best that you buy for your own stay while you sell it at a good price upon TOP, okay? Because if not, you may be in a situation whereby you have a long vacant period, whereby you're paying your monthly installment, you're paying your maintenance, and the unit is vacant, alright? So for our top choice, definitely 915 square feet 3-bedder compact, right? Because of all the reasons that I have listed, I find that this unit layout is perfect. The 3-bedroom compact frontage is actually the same as the 4-bedroom, right? So you are having the same frontage but just an extra room and extra yard with like a price tag that is much higher. I would think that this unit type will be very popular choice because of the price quantum. Okay, so let's move on to the 4-bedder. Alright, so for 4-bedder, there are also 2 types. There is a 4-bedroom so-called compact, and there is also a premium one. So for this 4-bedroom, as I've mentioned earlier, the balcony length is 3 meters, which is the same as the 3 premium and the 3 compact. Okay, and then one thing that I would really want to point out to you guys would be this walk-in wardrobe. Okay, so I think even the 3-bedder, there isn't a walk-in wardrobe, but only 4-bedroom onwards, we can start to see that the developer actually start to put in all these little things, knowing that people buying for 4-bedder would likely be for own stay. And all these little touches actually helps lah, okay? Yeah, so as you can see the layout, there's really nothing wrong. It's a very regular shape layout, and all the rooms over here, they have the same facing, okay? They are all having the same facing. I think that if there's one thing that I want to highlight to you, would have to be the walk-in wardrobe for this 4-bedroom compact, okay? Not say compact, not so premium, because I can't say compact because this 4-bedroom, which is the norm, they always have all this already. home shelter, WC, and a yard. It's just that they always have another more premium version, which is what I want to go through. This 1399 square feet. So the facing would be this empty land as well as the park. I would think that the park facing, if you go high enough, there might be a premium, okay, because your view is going to be like really beautiful. So for this 4-bedroom, as you can see, the frontage itself, that's the number one thing that is very, very different compared to the smaller counterpart. It has a frontage of 5.3 meters. Definitely landscape. You can see how you can put a sofa here as well as a dining. So this kind of layout is very, very popular among own stay because landscape layout, where you stand in the living area, it is always so much spacious compared to a portrait layout living. Alright, so on top of that, you have an additional store, and that is on top of your home shelter, yeah? Your whole kitchen, as you can see, is like a little glass corner because there's window in your WC, window in your yard, window in your kitchen, whole glass over here. It's basically very, very bright. You are like exposed to nature, like your natural light source outside. The wall is only here. So I do think that it makes the whole kitchen very bright, and plus the fact that it is also much bigger compared to the normal layout. Okay, and then same thing, they also have the walk-in wardrobe over here, as you can see. So what's the difference between this 4-bedder compared to the smaller 4-bedder type is that you have the additional store, that's number one, and all the windows there in the kitchen area, and of course you have this third bathroom that is connected to your bedroom 4. Okay, so you have one additional bathroom, and I will find that this appeals to upgrader that really have a higher budget. So for them, right, this 125 square feet more compared to the smaller 4-bedder, it works out to estimated about 400,000. So for 400,000 to get an additional store and a wider frontage, is it worth it or not? I think it is very, very subjective. Like I've mentioned, if you are an upgrader or you are someone who really values the lifestyle and you have the budget to pay 400k more, okay, to put it simply, to enjoy this kind of living and this kind of space, they would go for this because like I've mentioned, in the whole of Lentor, you don't really have a lot of 5-bedder you need to choose from. So the next best would be a very, very big and spacious 4-bedder, okay, and this is one of them. Let's do a comparison for their 4-bedroom layout, okay, within Lentor. Same thing, if you are comparing Lentor Central's 4-bed 3-bath, which is the bigger unit type, compared to Hillock Green and Lentor Hill, right, as you can see, the frontage for all these are about the same. All these are your competition, yeah? So your competition will be Hillock Green and Lentor Hill residences because they also have very, very big frontage over here, okay? So let's say if you're someone with that kind of price budget coming in, they will compare among all this. Other than that, right, actually I find that, okay, they have a small junior master here, and then other than that, I find that actually, right, the 4-bedder Lentor Central and the Lentor Hill residences, they are all very good in a way that it is something that I would want to consider if the price is right. Of course, I have to still say that if I were to have to make a choice between the two types of 4-bedroom, I would still prefer the smaller one because of the price quantum. If you're comparing these two, and this is 400,000 cheaper, and it basically still serves the same functions, like you still have whatever that you are supposed to have, just that this is your living is slightly smaller, then you have to ask yourself, actually, does it make sense for you to top up around 400k more for a wider frontage? What is most important? What are the things that people are looking out for? I would think that it is affordability. That's number one, because we can see that surrounding Lentor, right, like D19 or be it Punggol area, Ang Mo Kio as well, there are a lot of HDBs. As you can see previously, Lentor buyers profile, there are some coming from Dairy Farm, come from Choa Chu Kang area as well. So all this, there are a lot of BTOs over there. So if people are looking to upgrade, they may want to come into a place where they can afford after selling their flats or their smaller condos outside. And then to come into Lentor, they can afford a smaller 4-bed, which is considered a very good upgrade for them already, and it might become a very popular choice ultimately. With that, right, I also want to insert in this Jadescape example. Their 4-bedroom, right, is actually transacted with this kind of ROI. So for Jadescape, they also have a smaller 4-bedder as well as a more premium 4-bedder. But if you were to look at the profitability, we don't find that the bigger one has a lot more. If you want to make sense of your money, okay, I would say to go for the smaller one. But if you want for your own stay, then I would think that you can go for the bigger one. Because a wider frontage, it feels so different compared to a smaller frontage. It's just that if you're someone that is money sensitive, then I find that actually a 4 compact, it is also good enough. A 4 premium for own stay, it is really for the lifestyle. Then again, you have to pay for it. And I find that in future, if you want to exit, just because the supply of 5-bedder in the whole of Lentor area is not too big, it's not so many, it's not so high, there is a chance that people who wants to look for 5-bedder, they probably already have the budget to go for that, and yet there is not enough supply. They may look at premium 4-bedder unit type like this in the Lentor Central. Okay, yeah, so with that, I have ended my analysis on Lentor Central residences. I hope that it is helpful to you. As you can see, it's not so much of the pricing strategy, it is more of the layout strategy, and I'll see you at the show flat. Bye!